past weekend, I had just a little like art bag, right? And in that art bag, I had a bunch of black pens. I had water brushes. If you don't know what these are, or if you don't have some, I highly recommend like just hop on Amazon, and I will post a link afterwards. And it will be an affiliate link. So if you want to, wait a minute, if you don't have these and you want to use my affiliate link, greatly appreciated, but you don't have to. They're water brushes. You put water in the cylinder, and then they all have different tips, and they're just easier to bring if you're messing with watercolors or inks or whatever. I really enjoy having them. There's another one. And then I brought my mermaid markers because have ink will travel, right? It was just easier, a little bit easier, different and brighter, and a different, something different. Typically I almost always have my watercolor palette with me. But I opted for mermaid markers this time. Okay, you could have your Tombow markers with you, but and that's just traveling. But if you're not traveling, this works as well. So what I'm going to do is just show you how important in your journals, and this is this is watercolor pad. It's the visual 140-pound cold pressed watercolor paper. So it's nice and thick, and there's a lot, there's a lot of oomph to it. All right. So one thing that is really important to do is know, especially your black pens, what's going to lift and what isn't, right? Volume is cutting in and out. Okay. Let's see. Is the volume better now? Let me turn that up. Volume better now? Hopefully. I'm waiting for somebody to give me a Okay, as I'm waiting for that water, okay. The micron, what I use all the time, right? I'm just going to do a little line and do one line. I'm going to have my water. I don't want this one though. I want one of the smaller tips. I just like the smaller tip when I'm around. And I'm going to just go over that micron when it's wet. Okay, like right away, I'm actually going to draw two lines. I'm going to let that dry a little bit. And I'm going to write micron. And this happens to be the 05. Just so I know. It's very important to take notes and get to know your art supplies. So having it in there, having a separate journal meant for all of your, there, I want to make sure that's clean. Just to take notes is super, super important. All right, so there's the micron. I'm going to let that dry and see if it does anything. What else do I have here? I have a Sharpie, just a basic writer Sharpie. And so I'm next to it. I'm going to move along a little bit quicker just so I can get through everything I want to show you within a half an hour, which shouldn't be too hard to do. So I'm drawing two lines, and what I'm doing is I'm putting down two lines when it first goes down, and then also after, if I let it dry a little bit. So this is kind of, that one's dried and this one's dry, and you got to make sure that you're cleaning off your brush. So sometimes this is easier to use fresh water and a brush, but I'm sticking with what I had. Okay, here's the Sharpie gel. So we're going to do this line, and we're going to Sharpie gel. All right. These, like, I think I first saw these at the dollar store. I'm going to do this one right away. And you'll start to notice that black's ink bleeds into a lot of different colors. And if you're going to make your black ink bleed, you're going to find that you're going to have a favorite. Okay, this is the Uniball Vision Elite. This is one of my favorites. So we're gonna call it the Uni Vision, and I'll just put E, 'cause, well, I know which one that is. And this one's one of my favorites to get moving. All right, and then my new writing friend, a Uniball Air. Uni Air. All right, and I'm just make sure every time you're cleaning, so give a little squeeze, get that water going, and then I'm coming in. All right, and then I'm gonna really clean my brush, and I'm gonna come back over these now that they're dry, and see that Sharpie gel is still going to run. The Univision is still going to run. And dry, right? Let's see, the Uni Air is going to run too. But you'll see if you let them dry, you're gonna remain with your solid line and whether or not they move around. Okay? So that's one good way to get to know your color or your pens, what you have, what you like to use. The other way, another thing you can do is you can kind of just get some of your colors down. I keep doing that. I like this big, thick. See how big that is? Okay, if I just put a couple of colors down with the mermaid markers, and there's still water in here. Let's get some water. Maybe. Let's get some water going, and there we go. Kind of play and see how these spread out, right? And play. I have my rag. My water isn't wanting to come out of this one. There we go. See how I splotch that water right down there? Let's put them together. Let them do their thing. Kind of mix it around. See what happens over here. You've got to play. You've got to find out what you like, what you don't, and how things are going to work together, right? Uniball Air. I've not heard of these. Yep, the Air is a really nice, it just depends on what how things feel to you when you're writing, right? Now, the other, what we can do is we can kind of play and we can just kind of decide that we want a little bit of a rabbit. And I'm just really quickly sketching because this is just trial and error, right? Already I know his face is going to be a little bit fatter than I typically like, but if I want to just sketch, and then I'm going to take, I'm going to use the Vision because I really like this one. And I'm going to just kind of scribble in. Right, and just scribble a little bit of, add those eyes from a little bunny rabbit. Right, okay. So there, we just drew the rabbit quickly. Okay, so here we have just a little, quick little play. And I'm just gonna, I am really just being quick and simple about my water, like just plain. Because what I know, well, first things first, is I know that when I touch this black, it's going to blend, right? See? So we can get some good shadow in there. If I put the black down first, this is all play. This is why we do what we do. All right, whether I want that kind of inky line, right? And I went right over his eye there, which I probably didn't want to, I mean, I know I didn't want to do that. I just put a bunch of water there. And then we can pick up some of that brown. Oops, there's Chloe. There's Chloe. She's angry. She had to go get a haircut this morning. I had to wake her up. She's an old girl. She doesn't like to get up in the morning. She's like very old. This is, you just play. Kind of just picking up some of that water. You get to know your brushes. Like I already know I don't love this brush. But I'm still playing with it. And then I'm going to add, typically when I add like such a yellow, but I'm going to kind of get in there. Got all that green still in there. And some of this black mixes in. I kind of like, I mean, I just kind of really like the way. This is just a very fun exercise to play with. If you're like done your prompts, or you're not even, you know, you're somebody that doesn't really necessarily want to keep up with the prompts or do the prompts, you very well could just kind of play with ideas from the prompt list on a sketch page. You know what I mean? And if we do that, you really just have to play. Let's see. Ooh, that just squeezed out like crazy. See what you like. I really wish I had water. Mermaid markers, if you're new to me, you already know that I struggle a little bit with like the markers themselves. I want to get, okay, let's get this nice and wet. And see, we're just kind of pulling. And that stays right there, but I can pull up quite a bit of dark if I wanted. I can keep that there, but I'm learning what my pens will do. Right? I want to just, like, I can't get rid of that line, but I can totally bring that color in. And that's a couple different pens. That was the gel. Now I'm just throwing things down now. We're just seeing where it takes us. And see, you can pull up. It's just very important. So it doesn't matter what you're using or what you're doing, but just getting to know your colors, getting to know your supplies. Getting to know how things interact with each other is so extremely important. You really, really, you know, this page is not a work of art. This page is supposed to be a gigantic hot mess. Like, seriously. If it's not, that's where I'm concerned. You've got to let things get messy. You got to play with how you would maybe make drips. How would you the more you play and experiment with your supplies, like pick one thing, and you know, we're going to call this the mermaid marker page, and play for a little bit and see what happens, because you can always come back in, right, and then kind of freshen up if you want. I need a real, where's my real light? Achoo, excuse me, sorry. You know, you can just play and see. But I want you to remember how important playing in your journal is. Not every page is supposed to be a finished, perfect piece of art. All right, it's really, really important. Cheryl, all I did was lift it up and get the paint to drip. And I held my cloth here so that it didn't drip all the way down onto my table. Because it's ink, I'm working with mermaid markers, and I don't want to completely stain my table out. So just, you know, grab something and just kind of, I don't know, what if we do a little, you know, you just, and there's another, you know, another page to play with, another, try some more colors, see if you like it melting in with the black. Get a lot of color down and then lift it up. Do you like the real dark? You know, where do faces tend to be dark? And just kind of start to play. Maybe I want her to have blue hair, because I like blue hair. Oh, and I've got pink in there, so that's fun. And I'm going, I mean, I recommend not going quite this fast if you really want to experiment, but you certainly can get a lot happening within a short amount of time, as you can see. And over here, I'm gonna just put a little bit of that pink, and then I'm gonna take this wet brush, and I'm going to get some pinks in here, and some pinks in her mouth. right? And then we'll go back to this one and we'll kind of, ooh. And see, you'll know if I don't really want all of that dark picking up. But here I do, right? And look at, I can start to kind of try to shape her nose. Right, working minimally. And then, because I can give her gold earrings because I got my pen there with me. So just come up with different things, grab some supplies. I recommend your pens. Grab your stash of black pens, whatever it is you have. All right, and experiment with them. Get to know what they do with water and without water. Right when you put them down and they're wet and when they're dry. What color blacks do they produce? Okay, because they can range anywhere from like a brown to a blue, and some of them have pinks and yellows that'll run. And then what do they look like with maybe some of your favorite art supplies and colors, whether it's watercolor, mermaid markers, Tombow markers, anything that's water soluble, your what's the word I'm thinking of? Watercolor pencils even, okay? And just kind of play and see what you like. I want you to remember you should have a big journal. It doesn't have to be expensive. It could be mixed media paper. It can be anything. But you should have a good 9 by 11 journal, art journal, mixed media paper, whatever you want. This is the visual story. Let me see. I still have the cover. Yeah. So I like this because it's the 140-pound color watercolor. So grab the journal of your preference and just start to play. Document some things. See how your black pens work with whatever you feel like playing with that day. You won't regret it. You're going to learn a ton, and you're going to find out what you really love and what you want to make sure you avoid when you're working on those really special and important pieces of artwork, right? So this saves that heartache of working so hard on something and then smearing. But look at those gorgeous black tones we can get with our pen.